Some matches are won on the pitch, others are decided long before the whistle ever blows. And then there are the matches that exist in a category all their own. Games so strange, so suspicious, so loaded with consequence that the entire footballing world holds its breath before kickoff. This is the story of one of those matches. A World Cup group stage finale where both teams walked onto the field knowing a terrible secret. Winning could ruin them, losing could save them. And somewhere in the middle, a third nation, thousands of miles away, sat helpless, praying for something only chaos could deliver. Stay with us, because what unfolded on that pitch defied every prediction, every cynical assumption, and every dark memory football fans had carried for over 40 years. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why FIFA officials were left speechless, why Iran's entire World Cup dream hung on the unpredictability of strangers, and why this match will be debated for decades. If you love stories where football collides with strategy, history, and human drama, subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because what's coming reveals a side of the World Cup most fans never see. Here is the central contradiction that defined everything. Algeria and Austria, two proud footballing nations, both came into their final Group J match knowing that victory might actually hurt them. Think about that for a moment. A World Cup match where winning was dangerous, where losing could be rewarded, where a draw, the most boring result in football, was secretly the most valuable currency on the planet. And it all came down to a bracket that had just been revealed hours earlier. Spain had topped their group. Spain, the tournament favorites, the team nobody wanted to meet until the final. And the moment Spain's name locked into the bracket, the math shifted violently. The runner-up of Group J would be thrown straight into Spain's path. The best third-place team, however, would receive a far gentler opponent, a softer route, a longer life in the tournament. Suddenly, the incentives twisted. Suddenly, the table flipped upside down. Suddenly, winning the group looked like a punishment, and finishing lower looked like a gift. For Austria, the calculation was brutal, but clear. A loss would drop them into third place, possibly the best third place, and hand them an easier knockout opponent. A win would push them into second and straight into Spain's jaws. For Algeria, the situation was even more delicate. They needed a draw, just a draw. A draw would slip them past Spain and into a kinder bracket, but losing risked elimination entirely. Winning risked Spain. Drawing was paradise. And only one team in the stadium truly wanted that paradise. Now pull back further, because the picture grows darker the moment you remember what happened in 1982. Gijón, Spain. West Germany versus Austria. A match that football has never forgiven. After West Germany scored an early goal, both teams stopped playing. They passed the ball sideways. They jogged. They smiled. They eliminated Algeria from the World Cup through what fans around the world called collusion, cowardice, and corruption of the sport itself. The disgrace of Gijón became one of the darkest stains in football history, and Algeria, of all nations, was the victim. FIFA was so humiliated that they changed the rules forever, forcing every final group stage match to be played simultaneously, so no team could ever again know exactly what result they needed before stepping onto the pitch. And yet, here we were, decades later. Algeria once again at the center of a group stage finale where both teams had reason to avoid winning. The ghosts of Gijón hovered over every blade of grass. The symbolism was almost unbearable. The same nation, the same kind of trap, the same cynical math whispering in the ears of coaches and players. Could it really happen again? Could football betray Algeria twice? Could the sport collapse into farce on the biggest stage on earth? And there was another nation watching, holding its breath, praying. Iran. Thousands of miles away, Iranian fans gathered around screens with their fate entirely out of their hands. Iran needed Algeria and Austria to produce a winner. Any winner. A draw would crush them. A draw would eliminate them. A draw would send them home while sending both Algeria and Austria forward. Iran's World Cup dream depended on two teams who had every reason to do exactly the opposite. Before we go deeper, if this is the kind of coverage you've been searching for, the stories behind the stories, the math behind the magic, the history behind the headlines, subscribe and turn on notifications, because what happens next is the kind of football moment you only witness once in a generation. Kickoff arrived. The tension in the stadium was suffocating. Commentators warned viewers to brace for 90 minutes of sideways passes and empty gestures. Analysts predicted a quiet, calculated, almost choreographed stalemate. Fans of football's purity feared the worst. And then, something extraordinary happened. The ball moved forward. A player ran. A shot was taken. A goal was scored. The match exploded. Algeria struck first, and the stadium erupted with confusion and joy in equal measure. Austria responded, then Algeria again, then Austria again. End to end, chance after chance, goalkeepers diving, defenders sprinting, attackers refusing to slow down. The cynicism that had been predicted simply evaporated under the heat of competitive instinct. These were professional footballers, not accountants, and once the ball started rolling, the math stopped mattering. There was a moment, brief but unmistakable, when both teams seemed to pause. Around the hour mark, the tempo dropped. Passes slowed. Players glanced toward the touchline. You could feel the calculation creeping back in. You could feel the ghost of Gijón leaning over the stadium. But it lasted only minutes. A misplaced pass, a sudden counter, a desperate tackle, and the game roared back to life. Football, the real thing, refused to die. Then came stoppage time, and then came the moment that nearly rewrote everything. Algeria surged forward one final time, a cross, a scramble, a finish, a goal. A dramatic, breathtaking stoppage-time goal that sent the Algerian bench into delirium. In that instant, Iran was through. In that instant, the math had been broken by the beauty of the sport. In that instant, the underdog story was alive. But football is cruel. Football is unsentimental. Football does not care about narratives. Seconds later, with the final meaningful touch of the entire match, Austria equalized. 3-3, a draw. The very result both teams had quietly needed all along. The very result Iran had feared above all else. The scoreboard told one story, the standings told another. Algeria and Austria advanced. Iran was eliminated. And the football world sat in stunned silence. Here is where it changes completely. Because despite the final score, despite the convenient outcome, this was not Gijón. This was not collusion. This was not a fix. This was 90-plus minutes of genuine, chaotic, end-to-end football that just happened to land on the one result that suited both teams. Competitive spirit had defeated cynical calculation. The players had refused to dishonor the shirt. And yet, the cold arithmetic of the bracket still delivered exactly what the cynics had predicted. Austria would face Spain. Algeria would take the easier path. Iran would fly home. Pull back further, and the picture grows even more complicated. Because this match raised a question that football has never truly answered. If a team can improve its chances of winning the World Cup by losing a single group game, should they do it? Is it cheating? Is it strategy? Is it intelligence? Or is it a betrayal of everything sport is supposed to represent? FIFA rewrote the rules after Gijón, but they could not rewrite human nature. They could not eliminate incentive. They could not stop the math from existing. And that is the haunting truth at the heart of this story. The system itself creates these traps. The bracket itself plants these temptations. The tournament itself rewards the team that thinks 2 steps ahead, even when those steps lead through a deliberate defeat. Football celebrates winners, but the structure sometimes whispers to teams that losing is smarter. And every few decades, that whisper becomes a roar. So what do you think? If your nation's chance of lifting the World Cup truly improved by losing a group game on purpose, would you want them to do it? Would you call it genius, or would you call it shameful? Would you cheer, or would you turn the television off? Drop your answer in the comments because this debate is not going away. And if this story moved you, challenged you, or made you see the sport differently, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because the next investigation is already coming. Algeria advanced. Austria advanced. Iran went home. Spain waited. And somewhere in the rafters of that stadium, the ghost of Gijón finally exhaled. Because for one impossible night, football refused to lose to itself. The math won the standings, but the sport won the match. And in the end, that may be the only victory that ever truly matters.